Hi, everybody. This is Jim Cornette, pro wrestling legend, and you're listening to CSY Wrestle.
Welcome, everybody, to the CNY Wrestles podcast. I'm your host, Mike Jones-Bilodeau, coming to you from Syracuse, New York. And we want to send a personal thank you out to Jim Cornette for recording the intro for this week's show. He did that for us back in Philly. And yeah, he did say CSY instead of CNY, but we'll forgive him because it was kind of loud in the building. And, you know, hey, he agreed to do it for us, so who are we going to complain? We got a big guest tonight, Oneida's own Brute Van Slyke. He's not scheduled to appear at Dynasty's Table for Two this Saturday, the 29th, but it sounds like he's going to make an appearance there, and it should be very interesting. And that reminds me, the Table for Two event has actually been moved. The venue has changed from Westmoreland, the Boris Rec Center, and it's now going to be at the Accelerate Sports Complex. It's on Judd Road in Whitesboro. If you have tickets, make sure you're going to the right location. When you're going out Saturday night, make sure you're going to Whitesboro and not Westmoreland. During our interview with Brute tonight, he did mention Westmoreland. This was before we knew the venue had changed, so make sure you pay attention to where you're going Saturday night to not miss out on Dynasty's Table for Two. It's going to be a big show, highlighted by the main event, Rick Recon and Sergeant Fury, who were guests on the show a couple weeks ago. They're going to have a tables match to end their year-long battle. We hope that's going to be a classic. We know Sean Carr is going to be there to throw out an open challenge. We don't know yet who is going to step up and take that challenge, but it'll be interesting to find out who. Tyler Vincent is going to be there. I believe he's facing Mike Verne, which should be a good match. We also know Robo, the Dynasty champion, will be there, and also Christina Marie, the Diamonds champion, and Johnny the Man Moran, who was our guest last weekend. Will also be there. So it's going to be a pretty good show. I'm going to get right into it. We're going to get Brute Van Slyke right on the podcast, and I hope you enjoy what he's got to say. It's pretty interesting. So I'm sure all the Dynasty wrestlers and front office will be listening. Let's bring right now onto the show, Brute Van Slyke. Brute Van Slyke, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast. What's been going on in your world?
Not a whole heck of a lot. Just, living the dream, as they say.
So you're from Oneida, New York. How does a guy from Oneida become Brute Van Slyke?
Well, the journey began with a company by the name of 2CW, Square Circle Wrestling. I was still living in Oneida when I heard a commercial going on the TV in the living room. And when I ran in to check it out, it was the 2CW on-center, commercial. And it was the first time I heard of 2CW, so looked them up on the internet there and they had a school nearby, and they had Zachary Springett III at the Institute of Professional Wrestling out in Syracuse. So I went out and checked it out and signed up and started my training then.
And you made your debut for 2CW. Who was your debut match against?
My debut match was a triple threat students match. It was in Binghamton, New York at the American Legion. I went against Kevin the Man Graham and local hero Mikey in the Texas.
And you actually were tag team champions with Kevin Graham at one point.
Yes. After that first match, Kevin and I, we didn't suck as much as everyone anticipated that we did. So we kept on coming back for another match and another match and another match. And after a few months of us doing some singles matches, triple threat matches, working with guys like Steve McKenzie or whatnot, they ended up doing doing a tag team with us, and we became the company's first and only multiple-time tag team champions.
And from that point on, I mean, 2CW eventually would close. How did that make you feel?
Man, when I was told that 2CW was calling it quits, I just had a lot of feelings. I was sad, upset, scared, a whole lot of stuff. I was talking to the boss about it, and I was going to 2CW since it started in 2006. Starting out doing video, ring crew, and stuff like that. I was helping out 2CW before I was even training to be a wrestler. So, like, in the time of 2CW, I had a handful of failed relationships. I moved into like 5 different apartments. I had 3 different cars, 4 different jobs. But 2CW was always like the constant in my life. And 10 years when you're just barely 30 years old, that's a third of your life that's no longer going to be there. And when I was thinking about that, it was a real sad thing to see go. And then I was just scared because I didn't know where my career was going to go after that. 2CW was always my biggest and best that I had going on, so I didn't know exactly what kind of places I'd end up being at, if I'd still have a platform to shine as bright as I wanted to or whatnot. So it was sad to see it go. It was terrifying to see what result it would have on my career.
But your career has gone leaps and bounds. I mean, you've wrestled for Ring of Honor, Impact, Ohio Valley. You wrestled in Japan and Canada. Have you found a new home now that 2CW is gone?
A new home. There'll never be another 2CW, and I don't think something like that ever be recreated, duplicated, or replaced. When 2CW closed, I had Grand Slam Wrestling in Pennsylvania. That was the first company that steadily booked me outside of 2CW. And then, unfortunately, I'm not sure if they closed down or if what's going on. We're still kind of waiting for them to come back. Recently, over the last couple of years, I've been working steadily for C4 Wrestling up in Ottawa in Canada. That's probably come the closest with the locker room and the feel and everything. So haven't really found a new home per se like 2CW, but places like C4 and stuff like that, it's been real great to be a part of.
You've also wrestled locally here for the Dynasty. It's been a while since you've been with the Dynasty, correct?
Yeah, it's geez, man, it's maybe about better part of a year or so.
Yeah, I think didn't you wrestle? I think you wrestled Ben Hamin at the last show in Rome, maybe in a bit of June of last year, July of last year.
Yeah, my last show was at Rome, but I can't. The name, my opponent's name escapes me right now, but he was the Dynasty heavyweight champion at the time. He was a man I faced. Yeah.
And are you booked on the Dynasty show on the 29th of September?
Well, here's the thing. I've made no bones recently over a lot of different companies doing a lot of things that I don't really agree with. It seemed that over the last few months I've hit a wall with a lot of places that for one reason or another have stopped wanting to do business with me. And Dynasty was probably one of the first ones to do that. I mean, they come into my backyard of Rome and things didn't go the way it should have been. Soon after that, I blew up my calf muscle and I was on the shelf for a few months. And plans were to bring me back, but it's kind of hard to bring me back when you start ignoring me and unfollowing me on Twitter and all that stuff. So it's not so much that I am booked or returning on the next Dynasty show, but they recently came back to Rome, and because they have some dude from Camden who thinks he's a terrorist, they feel like that was good enough. But now they're coming into Westmoreland, which is real close to Oneida as well. And I don't care who you are. I don't care what company you are. I don't care who you have on that show. If you come in between Utica and Syracuse, you're in my neighborhood and you're in my territory. So basically what's going to happen is I'm just going to show up at Dynasty and I'm going to make something happen.
Any particular wrestler you have it out for at the moment that you might challenge?
Have it out for? Man, it'd be quicker to tell you who's not on my list who I'm out for. There's a whole lot of people there around there that have my interest. I can't help but notice Sean Carr popping up since I've been gone. And that's a guy who's always seems to be popping up in my career. I can't help but notice him running his mouth recently about open challenges and title opportunities and stuff like that. So, maybe I'll go after him. Maybe I'll find somebody new. But the point is going to be making a point to the Dynasty management for how they handled situations over the past year.
And some other promotions that are popping up in the area, up in Potsdam, Atlantic Championship Wrestling. Are you part of that?
Yes, they did reach out to me when they were putting together their first show, which will be featuring a heavyweight title tournament. I will be a part of that title tournament, and lo and behold, I'll be facing Sean Carr in the opening round.
And there's also one opening up in Utica, New York, Championship Wrestling. I think they're starting the same day, so I know you're not going to be there the same day, but have you been approached by them?
For one reason or another, I don't know why, but no, I've not heard from this group. I know some people who I'm close with who are working with that company who are on that show. I'm not sure who's in charge of that or what's going on. I don't know if they're one of those individuals who are afraid to approach a guy like me or not, but I guess time will tell after the first show there.
And there's also another company that actually started in Syracuse in June, Wild Zero, I think, and they're running in the Pastime Athletic Club where 2CW was known in Syracuse. Have you been approached by them at all?
No, I've not been approached by them at all. I've had talks with the guys running that, not so much about me coming in, just about I'm an old school guy. I'm an old school guy at heart, and I didn't feel like the situation was proper with the building and everything. And I'll tell you right now, people like UW running that place was absolute garbage and a travesty. And I'm glad that after they drew 5 people, they stopped attempting to even come near that building. But the guys at Wild Zero, I may not agree with another company coming in, but I don't have to agree with it. I got no ill will towards them. They have a lot of guys on their shows that I'm close with, that I'm friends with. There's guys like Skyros and Jake who I've helped train. And there's guys like Isis Effects who helped train me. And there's Sean Carr who, like I said, is, always been a part of my career. So, no, haven't been reached out to, haven't really discussed anything, but definitely no ill will or anything towards them like that.
Any plans of your own to run your own company in Central New York?
Well, that's a long, funny story. I tried helping out the local scene, doing some small school showcases. Hit a brick wall there. Was unable to continue it. It's always been something in the back of my mind where I always wanted to start my own promotion and do pro wrestling my way, which doesn't really see eye to eye or a lot of people agree with. It's a hell of a thing to do in New York. The New York State Athletic Commission has every hurdle and every obstacle to get around to be able to do that. It's not like it is a lot of other places where there's less restraints and restrictions, and some places not even a commission at all. But I would like to think that one day, if it all came together, that I'd be able to do my own thing here someday.